name's Hope Sanchez. At least it's what it was when I was growing up. See, I recently found out that my real name is Esperanza. It turns out my parents were just trying to protect me from all the discrimination they faced growing up. My voter registration card still says Hope. But today I'm gonna vote for Esperanza. And not just for me, but for my parents too.
It's election time again, and I guess voting's important or something. So take a bigger leap. Register and vote. Your vote is your voice.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you my husband and the next President of the United States, Victor Lopez.
Thank you. Today I become your servant, your fearless soldier. I want what you want. National security, jobs, healthcare, tax cuts, all of the above. But guess what, folks? It means nothing without you, without your participation. We have no platform. And so, my fellow Americans, I ask you, do not let yourselves be invisible. Do not take America for granted. Get out there, vote, be counted, make a difference. My name is Victor Lopez, and I will be your next president of the United States. That is my promise. Victor Lopez does not exist. He never will, unless you vote.
For you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
The true strength of our nation comes not from the might of our arms or the scale of our wealth, but from the enduring power of our ideals, democracy, liberty, opportunity, and unyielding hope.
Aumentamos más el número de registrados para votar que cualquier otra raza en Estados Unidos.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over. And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you. But I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Hola y bienvenidos. Welcome to the very first virtual gala for Southwest Voter Registration Education Project. I'm Kenny Ortega, and I am so grateful to be here with you all and to be a part of the mission of Dia de la Revolucion. Supporting Latino art is so important to the progress of America's future. It's rooted in and springs from the communities where the artists historically have been the storytellers. Latino art is our food, our music, the language we speak, and is a reflection of the lives that we live. We are Latino art. We live in the United States, and Latino art is American art, and American art is Latino art. And now, speaking of art, I'm going to introduce you to our fearless leader, Lydia Camarillo. She's been with Southwest Voter since the beginning, but took over as president 2 years ago. In that time, the mobilization of Latino voters has tripled from 5.4 to 15.5 million. Tripled. That's how fast our influence in America is growing. And Lydia has been leading that charge and that change. She was just named one of the 100 Sisters in Suffrage by the National Organization of Women to celebrate the passage of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, giving women the right to vote. Señores y señoras, I give you Lydia Camarillo.
Good evening, honored guests, Southwest Voter Board members, community leaders, and activists. Thank you, Kenny, for that kind introduction. Welcome to the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project Virtual Gala. It is our 46th anniversary celebration of the power of the Latino vote. America is at a crossroads. Will America stand by its ideals to respect and honor every person? Will America honor our right to vote? Will America become a safe space for the next generation? Or will America live by the ideals that only a few are equal, only a few have rights, and only a few have a voice? Your vote will help decide the America of the future. Today marks the push to mobilize the Latino vote for the most consequential election of our generation. The importance of voting in this election is far-reaching. This election will affect the shape of our country for the next 10 years. Our country and around the world, we are facing environmental crises that are changing our way of life. California and Oregon are under fire and lack the manpower to pull the fires out. Flint and other cities still don't have proper, clean drinking water. Near the coast, sea levels are rising and cities will fall underwater in the years to come. Voter participation this year will impact how we handle the situations for the foreseeable future. Voters will decide which candidates will represent their interest when they vote for president, for U.S. Senate, for Congress, for state representatives. Concurrently, the U.S. is extremely divided on issues of like immigration, education, climate change, and healthcare. The U.S. Supreme Court 2020 redistricting efforts, and the legislative redistricting districts will also be affected because of this election. Southwest Voter strength is in the people we work with, the wide network of Latino elected officials, community leaders, activists that make up Southwest Voter. Together, we will transform the political landscape of Arizona and Texas. Latinos will determine the future from the top of the ticket to the last vote that you will have on Election Day. Remember, Texas has 5.6 billion Latinos that can vote. We just need to register 2.8 of them and make sure they all register to vote. America needs you. Thank you. Su voto es su voz.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I am your MC, Master of Ceremonies, comedian, Eric Rivera. Super excited because I have a family that is behind that door. So you guys have given me an excuse to get away from them. I appreciate it because I'm not going to lie, this whole pandemic and lockdown has put a lot of pressure on our marriage. It's different, and if you're married, you know things are different now. You can't have normal conversations no more. Me and my wife, we sit down for dinner, and she's just like, what'd you do today? I'm like, what do you saw me? You sat across from me the whole time. What do you mean? What did I do? You were with me the whole time. So I'm very appreciative that I get to be with you guys for the next 90 minutes. I'm also very excited. You gave me a reason to put pants on. But even more excited that I'm working with Southwest Voter. You guys have been turning out the Latino vote in America for almost 50 years. And every year you've had dinners in Los Angeles and San Antonio. But again, we're in the middle of a pandemic, a lockdown, so we can't do it. But the power of the internet, we get to reach all 32 million Latino voters through this right here. So thank you guys for joining us. Now I know I was supposed to have a whole layout of dinner, but I'm in Los Angeles. It's 5:30, and I'm not gonna have dinner. It's too early. But you guys sent me this cool tablecloth, which I'm excited by, and I'm going to put on my table. Or if I can't say which candidate I'm voting for, if the other candidate wins, I can hide and not get caught. So good stuff. Listen. A lot of you are joining us for dinner, and I'm glad you are. And if you're not, join us for at least a drink. As you can see, I've got my drink going. I've got my Don Julio. So hopefully you guys are drinking as well and having a good time. Now, tonight's event, we're taking place on September 16th, as you know, is El Día de la Independencia, Mexican Independence Day. 110 years ago, the parish priest of the village of Dolores, Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, started a revolution, a revolt that's touched off a revolution. And that is our theme for tonight, revolution, because as you noticed, as Lydia said, America's in a little bit of trouble right now. We're a pandemic, civil rights movement. We got fires here in California on the West Coast. So the only way we can come together and have this revolution is if we all go out and vote. All right, so we've got a great show for you tonight, packed with amazing politicians, celebrities, performances, people on the front lines who are all here to encourage you to vote. And we have to vote, guys. Our voices have to be heard, whether you're young or old. Trust me, my mom, she's an older Latina. I don't want to do that, but this year I'm excited because she's gonna vote. She's going to vote. I had to lie to her a little bit, but she's voting. It's all I care. She's voting for, as she called it, Biden y la Dominicana. And I'm going to let her believe Kamala's Dominican, whatever gets her to vote finally for the first time. So if you can, please donate. There should be a button here somewhere for you guys to donate. Also, if you haven't registered to vote, please register to vote. Like I said, our voices must be heard. And if you know somebody in your family that hasn't registered to vote, talk to them, persuade them to register to vote, and get involved. Now, Lydia is going to be joined by the first of her dinner guests, Gil Cedillo, LA City Council member for the 1st District and former state senator who wrote a little bill to get driver's license for undocumented immigrants. All yours, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Lydia. What's happening? How are you?
I'm really glad you're here with us. Thank you. You've been an incredible supporter and leader, and I'm excited you're here. Thank you for allowing us. We're telling those that are with us, thank you for allowing us into their homes. I hope those that have food are enjoying the food. Go ahead.
Welcome to my living room, or my dining area. Unlike Eric, I didn't have to negotiate. I mean, poor kid, they put him in the bedroom. Did you see that? Oh my God. I'm like, dude, you know who the power dynamic is in his house, not him. They're like, dude, get more work before you get your own room. So anyway, I'm just joking. Obviously, I'm very excited to be here with you tonight. You look great. Where are you?
I'm in San Antonio.
Okay, I was just I'm checking out that background and stuff, so I just want to see what's
This
going
is
on.
my house. My husband's
Hello.
journey.
How you
He
doing?
painted this behind me.
Partial.
You know, I got a little wall space, so let him know that. I love the work.
Thank you.
Obviously, I can't thank you enough for what you've done. You've taken the mantle from two incredible leaders, and we continue this project. We're trying to make true the promise of democracy, and it could not be more important than what it is today. Let me say this to you. At a moment when our kids are in cages, let me repeat that, our kids are in cages, their mothers force hysterectomies, and 7,000 families have been disrupted. I mean, there is nothing more to say than that to compel us to vote. I just, you couple that with our experiences here in California, which have been disastrous because the guy refuses to accept climate change. You couple that with COVID-19 and one of the great crimes against humanity. Today, over 200,000 Americans have died, and there'll be 250,000 by the day of the election. That's 250,000 people, many of them unnecessarily. So when people say, I don't know, should I vote? Why should I vote? I don't need to vote. No, you need to vote. You need to vote like your life depends on it. Why? Because it does. And so that's all I'm just, I love you very much. Where's your husband? I want to tell him I love him very much too. He loves you very much because he lets you spend all the time with us all over the country in the Southwest. And I'm looking forward to a very exciting evening. I know the guys from Clash are going to be joining us, and we're going to see Henry, and I'm just excited. And the last thing, let me say this to you, because yesterday we did the El Grito here in Los Angeles. It would have been easy to bypass this evening. We didn't have to do it. We could have just asked people to write checks. But there's a tradition about this event, and this is how traditions evolve and develop. And so during the most difficult times, people will look back in history and say, so what happened? Did they stop? Did they postpone it? Did they defer it for another year? No. This was too important for us. Your leadership has emerged. Your leadership has met the challenge. We as a community are going to move forward better for it because we're going to be here together tonight at a distance, but together nonetheless. And so thank you for your leadership, and God bless you, Lydia. Love you very much.
Gracias to you as well. Thank you so much.
What's up, everybody? It's Ulises Bella from Osomatli. Saludos a todos. It's come to our attention that there are over 15 million Latino voters that are eligible to vote but haven't registered yet. It's so important for us as a community to vote, because how else are we going to let them know the needs and wants of the community, whether it's immigration reform, healthcare, education, housing? It's so imperative. So we've partnered up with Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, who's been doing amazing work for the last 50 years, and they're planning to register over 350,000 new voters on the books. With that being said, we'd like to present some music from our quarantine series to give everybody some inspiration, some inspiración para salir a votar. Peace.
Con una solución. Cuando despierto en la mañana, sé que tengo el poder para nadie a trompar. Cuando me acuesto
Good evening. I'm Hilda Solis, Chair Pro Tem of Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, and I'm proud to join the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project to get out the vote and to help mobilize the Latino community to register to vote. Latinos in the United States have a voice that needs to be heard, and they need to know that their vote matters. Surveys have shown that the environment and environmental justice are issues just as important to Latinos of all ages as are the issues of jobs and immigration. Unfortunately, today Latinos are disproportionately impacted by environmental health threats. Latinos face an uphill battle in trying to make sure that our families and our children have clean air to breathe and clean water to drink. We know that climate change is very real. We know that it is real because we're experiencing harmful air, heat waves, and wildfires here in America and in Los Angeles. And throughout Latin America, Latinos are suffering through droughts, hurricanes, and floods, also caused by global warming. Many Latinos are farm workers, the backbone of our agricultural sector, and they are the people who harvest our crops and literally put food on the table. However, agriculture cannot thrive if we continue to threaten our environment and ignore the causes of climate change. We need more Latinos to stand up and speak out and be leaders. We can help drive the conversation as we seek environmental justice and take better care of the earth for ourselves and for our future generations. We can do this by voting. Voting for candidates who will protect this planet, nuestra hermosa casa. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. Thank you very much.
How are you? Here's your friend Fernando Allende, inviting you to vote. If you have the opportunity, all the elements to go and cast your vote, go ahead and do it. Every voice is important. The more voices, the louder we are. And I know that we're all pursuing the same good things for our families. So go ahead and vote. We'll see you there. Tu voz es importante. Vota.
Fernando Allende, ladies, I'm going to give you a moment off. Wow. Also, now I'm realizing why they told me to do an all-white background. Gil made fun of my background. Gil, I chose to be back here for this, for you guys. As true Latinos, that's why you guys have to have a white background, because Latinos looking back, they're like, how is he living? Is he in the spare bedroom? He's having marital problems. No. So anyway, let's get back to the program. I'm very excited because Lydia will never tell you how great she is. Here's a brief history of Southwest voters' accomplishments.
Hello, I'm Yareli Arizmendi, actress, writer, producer, activist, but mostly a human being. Worried about other human beings living on this beautiful earth we human beings keep messing up. A human being worried about worrying instead of doing. And it was in that spirit that I made the spot you're about to see. That was a little time ago. And since then, the number of eligible Latino voters in our country has grown to 32 million, up 5 million from the last presidential election. So yes, we have the power, but it is one thing to have it and another to exercise it. Thank you for being here and believing we can indeed do and convince all of us to put our power to work.
Como pueden ver, más de 1 millón de personas han tomado las calles. Esto es un momento histórico. Es algo increíble, nunca antes visto. La pregunta del día es, ¿a dónde van?
Estamos aquí donde cientos de miles de personas se han reunido para hacerse escuchar.
El gigante por fin ha despertado y su voz es muy clara.
Da un paso más. Vota.
We're back. Hi.
All right. One more time for that video we just saw. Again, the Latino vote is very important, and as you can see by all these videos and all the passion being put behind these videos, it's important to go out and vote. So again, I'm reminding you, please click to donate. Get out there, register to vote. If you're not registered already, you can see it on our website. And I think Lydia's ready, so let's kick it back to Lydia.
Hi. Thanks for that wonderful music. I thought Yarismendi gave us a great introduction to one of our PSAs that we did back when. We tried to do them in such a way that they can be used again. And as you can see that part of what we're looking at is the pieces of the featuring the marches that people were doing during that time, and they seem to still be very important. Listen, this cycle is so important to us for a lot of reasons. I can't begin to explain to you all the importance of the Latino vote, but let's think about this. America thinks that it's only a way to the pathway to the presidency, whether it's keeping Trump or electing Biden through the Midwest. I tell you that yes, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and of course, North Carolina are very important. And let's not forget Wisconsin. However, we believe that Arizona and Texas will drive the force. It will also be because of the Latino vote, which 25% of the Arizonan voters in Arizona will turn out to vote, and they will determine not only the electoral votes for Arizona, 11 electoral votes, but also the U.S. Senate seat. They will also determine in Texas the U.S. Senate seat and the Texas electoral votes, 38 electoral votes. Texas is the firewall to determine the future of our America. So we're looking forward to making sure that we all work to registering the voters that need to be registered. In Texas, we have 5.6 million registered Latino voters. I'm sorry, we have 5.6 million eligible. 2.7 are registered to vote, and 2.8 need to be registered to vote. So we have some work to do. But with your help, we will get there. Our streak has always been to transform a non-voter into a voter. And the pandemic has forced us to look at how we not only do what we have always done when Willie began this organization, Willie Velasquez. We work on the ground, we work with the people, we work with the activists, we work with coalitions, and we talk to the voters 3 to 4 times with live contacts. Very labor intensive. This time, we're going to be using the internet and social media and everything else in addition to still having a conversation with the voters. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Thomas Sines, President and General Counsel of MALDEF, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, and a recent addition to the Board of Directors of Southwest Voter Registration Education Project. I was proud to join the board of Southwest Voter because of the long-standing collaboration between our two organizations, going back to the very beginning. In recent years, Southwest Voter has joined MALDEF in challenging Texas redistricting because there the state legislature refuses to recognize the dramatic growth in the Latino population and to have that growth reflected in the lines they draw for Congress and for state legislature. Last year we worked together to challenge, successfully, the attempt to purge 100,000 voters based on faulty DMV data. More recently, we've worked together to prevent the Trump administration from politicizing our census and seeking to diminish the Latino count. That has meant challenging the late addition of a citizenship question successfully. That has meant challenging today the executive order by Donald Trump attempting to create a database to permit states that choose to do so to discount non-voters, including non-citizens, in drawing legislative districts. It also means working together more recently to challenge Donald Trump's memo attempting to discount the undocumented population entirely in reapportioning the U.S. House of Representatives. This ongoing collaboration between our two organizations will continue this November as we work together to support Southwest Voters' Election Protection app and to ensure that every Latino voter has a chance to cast a ballot and have it fully counted. This ongoing partnership between our two organizations makes me proud, and I know it will continue in the future with the partnership of all of you. we can work together to ensure that the growing Latino community gets involved in our elections, has a chance to cast a meaningful ballot, and to have that ballot counted. I know our partnership will be a successful one with the support of all of you. And so tonight I congratulate Southwest Voter Registration Education Project and its Executive Director Lydia Camarillo on another successful election year.
Guys, if you're not getting the message, we got to get out there and vote. And I know there's some younger people watching this and like, I don't know much about politics. We just get educated. Trust me, there's still some words that throw me where I'm just like, I don't know what that means. Like, you ever hear a word and your brain just puts in the word, the closest word that it knows into it and doesn't make sense? Like, getting ready for this event, they told me, hey, if you could throw in some nonpartisan jokes. And my brain just said, okay, we know what that is. And I was way off. I said, I don't know, guys, because I like partisan bread. And they were like, wait, what? No, that's artisan. And I was like, oh, never mind. Don't know the word. But I looked it up, and I'm trying to get educated, and I'm getting geared up for this election. So please do the same. All right. So now, to talk about Southwest voter success and turning out Latina voters over the past 5 decades, we welcome somebody who's in his 8th term as Texas House member and a chairman of the Mexican American Legislative Caucus. Let's hear it for Rafael Anchia.
Hola, les saluda el representante estatal Rafael Anchia desde Dallas, Texas. Es un honor estar aquí con ustedes virtualmente celebrando el Día de la Independencia de México. Y qué mejor día para hablar del voto latino. Esto para mí es muy emocionante porque mi madre es de México, mi padre recientemente en el 2014 se registró para votar y ahora tenemos la oportunidad de ejercer nuestro voto y nuestra voz en noviembre. Alrededor de todo el país se proyecta que 32 millones de latinos son elegibles para votar en las próximas elecciones. En Texas hay aproximadamente 11 millones de latinos y el 50% de nosotros podemos votar. Se proyecta que alrededor de 2.8 millones de latinos en Texas van a votar este noviembre. Y aunque celebramos este aumento y es muy importante en comparación con otros años pasados, aún hay cerca de más de 3 millones de personas que no se han registrado, una cantidad enorme. Podemos ver tendencias en otros estados parecidos, ¿no? Donde vemos que latinos solamente votan al 50%, como en Arizona, la Florida, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina, Pennsylvania y Wisconsin. Todos son parecidos a Texas, en donde solamente el 50% de nuestra población participa y se registra. Es por eso que el trabajo de esta organización es tan vital para motivar a nuestra comunidad. Desde el 1974, Southwest Voter Registration Project ha registrado a 2.7 millones de latinos y han ganado, importantemente, más de 210 demandas para proteger nuestro derecho de voto. Este año es crítico para nosotros, ya que también nos tenemos que asegurar que nos cuenten a través del Censo 2020. El censo, como no les necesito explicar a ustedes, tiene un papel decisivo porque se utiliza para elaborar mapas electorales. En Texas hay mucho en juego. Podemos añadir casi 3 o 4 puestos de más en el Congreso Federal, aumentando nuestro poder político como un estado. Así es que tenemos que luchar contra esfuerzos para diluir la fuerza de votación de nuestra comunidad. Es imprescindible, lo más importante que podemos hacer, porque así aseguramos de que la redistribución de las fronteras políticas de los distritos refleje el crecimiento de nuestra población latina. Yo tengo el honor de servir como presidente del grupo legislativo de latinos más antiguo y más grande del país, llamado en inglés el Mexican American Legislative Caucus. Y juntos con Southwest Voter Registration Project vamos a asegurar que no solamente somos contados a través del censo, pero que también nos refleje la población en las fronteras políticas y los distritos que se van a crecer en este proceso. Les agradezco mucho la atención y la oportunidad de participar esta noche. Que vivan los Estados Unidos y que viva México. Dos muy buenos socios en este muy importante día. Gracias.
We're back.
Hi, Lydia. What's up?
Just thinking about everything that Representative Anchia said, his Spanish is beyond perfect. So if you can help me translate, I think I want to say two things, but after you.
Well, look, I'm a partisan, not in the legal sense, but I'm a partisan that I'm for our community. And so the question of the vote is critical at every level. So today I work in the city council and I hear addressing the concerns, the global concerns of COVID-19 and climate change, but how they affect my district, how they affect communities in the Pico Union and the Westlake and in ground zero of COVID-19 in the whole nation. And so that matters. And what's important is that the voter participation is robust so that my district is treated equally with the other 15 districts in the city of Los Angeles. At the state level, while we were just in the state assembly, just a modest state rep, we transformed the lives of close to 2 million people now who drive legally in the state of California. And that led to New York replicating what we did, over 2.5 million people. So the numbers grow in terms of responding to the needs of our community. And so that's done at a state level. And obviously at a national level, the need for new national leadership for us is very obvious. The importance of Washington and who's in the White House, the fact that our community, and as you laid out the map of this country, our community can dictate who's in the White House and the policies that emerge from there. It's one, the person, but two, it's the policies. And that's very critical. And so I can't be more excited than we are tonight to continue to work and to use this as our jump off day to register, to mobilize, to organize, and to vote. And so, again, thank you.
Thank you. And I think that what Representative Anchia was talking about is the redistricting process, particularly in Texas. The last cycle, Texas won the lottery for districts. In fact, while New York lost a seat, congressional seat, Pennsylvania, Ohio lost seats, Michigan lost seats, congressional seats, and Florida gained 2, and Arizona and Colorado each gained 1. Texas got 4 congressional seats. Those seats were important to us because Latinos were elected. In those Latinos elected candidates had choice. We went to court. As Tom was telling you, we fought, we won, and we started off with literally before the maps were drawn and before the census was counted, we started off with 7 Latino majority seats. Then we moved on to court, and now we're at 9. And we also go with the state houses. So those are the things that we're going to be deciding in the cycle. This election, whoever wins will be determining the next congressional districts, as well as state houses and Senate seats, and down to city council and other board of supervisors, county commissioners. So I think what he was talking about is very, very important. We have to get ready for that.
Hola amigos, nosotros somos la Santa Cecilia.
We want to encourage everyone to get out and vote this November. This is one of the most important elections we have ever seen, and your vote is very, very, very important.
Ahí va, 4.
Nos arrastra un viento humano, a ver si se nos quita. nuevas nos contarán. Si la violencia es un espejo que se rompe y nuestras lágrimas caídas gritarán, solo recuerda que mi cara tiene un nombre y nunca más se callará. Y nunca más se callará. Nunca jamás me olvidarán. Nunca jamás nos callarán.
Teeth in my eating my teeth.
They're
Henry.
amazing.
Hey guys.
Mr. Secretary, it's so good to see you.
Hey, Henry.
Lydia, well, thank you for inviting us
Ageless.
to dinner. Mary Alice
Ageless.
is sitting right here next to me. Come in here
Hi,
where they can see
Mary
you.
Alice. Councilwoman Mary Alice.
This has been spectacular.
So gracias. We're having arroz y frijoles and pollo in Los Angeles and in San Antonio. Not bad. Through the miracle of modern technology. Congratulations, Lydia. This is a great show and a great way to do a gala in the pandemic period. So good job.
Thank you. But I couldn't do it with either one of you. So I know that one of the things I wanted to do right now is first thank the two last folks, Santa Cecilia, who gave us an incredible music. But I also wanted to, at this time, formally introduce you so you can give us a few words. And then once you give us your few words, Councilman Cedillo and I will chat with you about what's happening in the world right now and how can we make sure that people understand the importance of the vote. I think you all know a great statesman. I had the privilege and honor of meeting our Secretary Henry Cisneros when I think I was 18 or 19. I saw him speak, and it was I knew then that someday we would all be able to aspire to have the kind of speaking opportunities with the courage, the voice, and the inspiration that you give us. Something similar to what Willie Velasquez would give us. So with that, I'd like to introduce formally our Secretary, Mayor of San Antonio, the beautiful city of San Antonio. By the way, I'm both a San Antonian and a Californian now that I'm president of Southwest Voter. With that, let me introduce Mr. Henry Cisneros.
Thank you, Lydia. And I'm speaking to you this evening from San Antonio, the home of Willie Velasquez. And I've been a follower, a believer, supporter, a beneficiary of the work of Southwest Voter for pretty much all my public life since the 1970s. Let me just say a quick word, if I can, about Willie, because Willie's life is so completely integrated with the principles and ideals of Southwest Voter. Willie grew up in San Antonio, in fact, not far from this site where I am in my home in the Mexicano west side of San Antonio. Willie and I went to the same high school. He was just a few years older. But Willie had a vision of how we could take democratic ideals, and I say democratic with a small d, the democratic principles of America, work for Latinos. And people in that era of Mayo and Chicano leadership and many things called him radical, but Willie was anything but radical. He was a believer in American patriotism, American due processes, American elections, and he believed it to his core. He would actually take on people who denigrated where this country was headed, denigrated the role of elections, and Willie really put his heart, his body, literally, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute, into this effort. Willie walked the streets of southwestern cities like San Antonio and Midland and El Paso and Las Cruces and Tucson and Nogales, all over the southwestern United States, many places in California, Fresno, Bakersfield, walked blocks to register people and created a wonderful organization around him. Willie literally gave his life in the cause. He worked so hard that he didn't have time to go to the doctor, and they discovered late that he had pancreatic cancer. I remember it clearly. They diagnosed him in May, and he died in July. They gave him a half a year to live, and he was gone in several months. That's how far it was gone. And he had given his personal resources and money to Southwest Voter. His family was very much part of the sacrifices that Willie made. Willie was followed by Andy Hernandez as a president, Antonio Gonzalez, who served for a very long time, great guy, a wonderful leader, international visionary, and now Lydia, the first woman to head Southwest Voter, and a person who is the perfect fit for the job. Sometimes we're just lucky to have the right person at the right time for the right position, and that is the case with Lydia, who has understudied with Willie, been working in the field of voter registration, prepared her own talents and skills, and made a huge difference. Let me just tell you one more sort of personal angle here. Southwest Voter, of course, was born here. Uh, we're proud that it moved to Los Angeles for a larger platform in California and serves the entire nation from there. But San Antonio has always been and continues to be an important part. I know personally the work of Southwest Voter because I was on the city council in the 1970s here in San Antonio. And in 1981, when I was 33, decided to run for mayor. I could not have become mayor of San Antonio without the decade of work that Southwest Voter had done before that. Southwest Voter had taught people about the importance of voting, gotten people registered to vote, mobilized and encouraged people, and then finally assisted in the process of actually voting. And so when I ran in 1981, we had an unprecedented turnout. You'll be surprised to learn in all of those years since, we've never exceeded those percentages electorally that the Latino community produced on that occasion. It was really something to behold. And Willie and I were very close. And in fact, I was with him in his last days with his brother and his family at the hospital. Willie, of course, is the person who coined the phrase, su voto es su voz. What a powerful idea that is. I mean, decades of Latinos have since really captured that idea because it says so much. Su voto, your American vote, your citizenship and participation, your right to vote is, in America, your voice. No one can take it away from you. That is your voice. And it's equal to every other. The richest person in America doesn't have more than one vote, like every single one of us who's a laborer, who works in the community. So it was tremendously important what Willie did. On his deathbed, Willie's brother told me that day that he passed, it was a very, very sad moment, as I say, because it came quick. Willie looked up and opened his eyes just before he passed, and he said, "Qué bonito es el nuevo mundo." Those were his last words. "Qué bonito es el nuevo mundo." His brother didn't know whether Willie had seen a vision of something about the next life or whether he was just celebrating, integrating his own experience with creating a better life for people here in this country. Qué bonito es el nuevo mundo, la posibilidad de un nuevo mundo para nuestra gente, de igualdad, de oportunidad, de progreso. That may be the nuevo mundo that he saw. We'll never know for sure. But we will know that the United States is different because Latinos have voted in unprecedented numbers. There have been elections where Willie put emphasis and Southwest Voter put emphasis in the subsequent years where our turnout was larger than any other, where our participation in voting was larger than any other. And that needs to be the case again this year. So, as I said, we have the right person on the job in Lydia and her team. We need big numbers, big turnouts. I'm not speaking in a partisan way. I don't mean Democrat or Republican. I mean, the truth of the matter is Latinos have advanced tremendously. We have 2 senators in the United States Senate who are Democrats, Senator Menendez of New Jersey and Senator Cortez Masto of Nevada. But we also have 2 Hispanic Republicans in Senator Cruz of Texas and Senator Rubio of Florida. So I'm not talking in partisan terms. I'm just saying, as Latinos progress and prosper and grow into the life of our country and vote, we're going to participate like everyone else, and our best day is still to come. Our best moment of opportunity, of life for our children, of contribution to this country, of leadership is ahead of us. And it's ahead of us principally because we follow the ideals and principles of Southwest Voter and we vote. Thank you for inviting us to dinner, Lydia, and I'm happy to share some thoughts with you and Gil. Two great leaders, Lydia, and Gil knows how much I've admired his work all of these years in the state assembly, in the state senate, and on the city council in Los Angeles. One of the great public servants of our time. I've told Gil before, and I really mean it. There are public officials who hold positions. There's public officials who hold titles. There's public officials who hold the trust of the people as tribunes of the people, whose voice is trusted and listened to, who speak for the people, and Gil Cedillo is in that category. Gil Cedillo is a true trusted spokesman whose word is good, whose ideals are strong, whose courage is strong. There's only one Gil Cedillo.
There's only one.
Let's talk about how we got here. Well, first, the founding fathers of America plagiarized the Constitution from the laws of the Iroquois Confederacy, and they never ever owned up to it. If the American people had had Google, they would have been like, you stole that from the indigenous people. At least put a footnote. So brown people, we just happen to be standing around inconveniently on land that America wanted. So there was a bunch of wars, the Alamo, which didn't go so well, and eventually the United States got everything from Texas to California. Brown people really went off the radar for 100 years. Meanwhile, America continued to hate on black people. They continued to hate on immigrants like Polish, Irish, and Italian people. They also hated on women, and they hated some more on black people again. Until 1960, all that people really knew about us was Little Ricky and Topoguillo. But it didn't end there, because the United States started messing with countries in Latin America. Eventually, some of us started knocking on America's doorstep and said, "Excuse me, you burned down my house. Therefore, I'm going to live with you now. So, what's for dinner?" For a while there, presidents would say that immigrants were the hope of America. But now, you can get elected by simply saying that we are rapists and that we are murderers. And somehow we expect to see Anglos leave the comfort of their living room and march down to Washington and demand justice at the White House because they are putting our kids in cages. But that doesn't happen. Global warming happens and more of us die from that. COVID happens and more of us die from that. And we expect for someone to see that and say it isn't fair, that it isn't right. And it doesn't happen. But do you know who that somebody is? It's us. We have the power to change this. 32 million Latinos are eligible to vote, and almost half are not even registered. ¿Por qué? If we want to see better, we must do better and we must do our part. 800,000 Latinos are turning 18 every single year. Let's teach our young adults to register and that voting is a privilege that not many people have. We have the power to make America a country that keeps up with its promises, but we have to get out there and vote. Yes, it can be scary. Yes, they may cough on us when we go to the polls, but we cannot let that discourage us. So get a hold of your transportation, get a hold of your child care, take your masks with you, and go out and vote. Nosotros somos la revolución y no nos vamos a dejar. Vota.
Vota, that was Mariana Anaya. Thank you so very, very much. She is an artist, a rapper, an activist, and someone who has been working very, very, very hard in the movie industry to make sure that our faces are out so that everybody could see them. Thank you so very, very much. Now we're going to hear remarks from Councilman Cedillo. He has been a longtime friend of Saltas Voter, as you know. Not only is he the chair of the Latino Vote Chair for Saltas Voter, helping us raise the money, the resources, so that we can do the work that needs to be done, but he has championed for the longest time issues about immigration. I call him Mr. Driver's License. I say that with the utmost respect because he fought so that our community would not be stopped. Immigrants were being stopped because they didn't have driver's license and they would be then deported. That was such an extraordinary victory. And as he mentioned earlier, we saw that other states followed suit. So with that, let's hear Councilman Cedillo's remarks.
Good evening, friends. I'm Gil Cedillo, Los Angeles City Council member, former senator, former state rep. And I'm here tonight to call upon you to vote. Vote like your future depends on it. Vote like your family depends on it. Vote like your nation and community depends on it. Why? Because it does. We as Latinos are most adversely impacted by COVID-19. Our children are in cages and 7,000 families have been separated from their children. Let me repeat that. Our children are in cages. 7,000 families have been separated from their children. We are not present in Hollywood or any positive images in our society. We don't exist. News shows, talk shows, public policy, entertainment, music, we don't exist. So I'm asking you, I'm making a call to you to vote. Vote like it's the most important thing you may ever do for your family and for yourself. We must remove only by doing that can we have immigration reform in this nation and bring some true dignity and respect to our communities. And don't just vote for the top of the ticket. The State House matters as well. I know this. Immigrants in California can drive legally because of the actions we took in the State House. We have our California Dream Act because of the actions we took in the State House. And don't forget, at the bottom of the ticket, those local elections matter as well, because they determine who gets affordable housing, who has safe passages to school, and who addresses the challenges confronting homelessness in our society. So vote. Vote like the future depends on it. Vote like our nation depends on it. And when you think about our environment, vote like the world depends on it, because it does. Please vote. Su voto es su voz. Gracias.
Well, I love the way that we had to bleep our council member because he was said a few words that were partisan. As much as we don't want him to be, he's not able to say that here at Saltas Voter because we're nonpartisan. So thank you, Gil, for that. We're looking forward to continuing a conversation about what is important for us as we look to find out how we can make sure that every person can register and vote. Please remember the deadlines. Every state has a deadline.
Hey, we are back. Thank you so much for all the videos and all the people we've seen. Again, I don't know how many more times I can say this. We gotta register to vote. So if you haven't done so already, please register and vote. Tell your family. We're going to talk about tribal voting. That's something a topic they want us to bring up, and we're Latinos. When have you ever traveled by yourself to go anywhere? So pack up your cousins, pack up your family members, and go 10, 20 people down to the voting polls, and make sure you let your voice be heard. Now, the concept of tribal voting for the millennials and Gen Z is not one person anymore. It's a bunch. And again, like I said, we're Latinos, so we know what it means to do that. Trust me. Now, our next performer was born in Oaxaca, and her music over the years has covered every musical genre. She incorporates indigenous Mexican influences and has recorded songs in indigenous languages like Mixtec, Zapotec, Mayan, Nahuatl. She's won multiple Grammy Awards, has an incredible voice, unique dance moves, amazing costumes. Those of you that don't know her after tonight's performance, you will. I can only be talking about the one and the only Lila Downs, everybody.
Yo soy su paisana Lila Downs. So remember, acuérdense mi gente, hay que celebrar la vida y hay que tener orgullo de ser latinoamericano. Pero acuérdense, a los que puedan, hay que salir a votar. No me fallen mi gente, como ciudadana es mi derecho.
Hello, this is Houston Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia with a special message for the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project. Thank you for the invitation to join you for your virtual gala. Despite COVID-19, I'm glad we are all finding ways to stay connected because the work must continue. The right to vote is a cornerstone of our democracy, and we must make sure every eligible voter is able to exercise that right. Southwest Voter has a long-standing history of making sure Latinos are registered to vote and can actively participate in our democracy. And even in the middle of this pandemic, Southwest Voter is working hard to make sure Latinos are ready to vote this November. You understand so much is at stake for our community, from signing the Dream and Promise Act into law, putting an end to cruelty and family separation policies, helping Latino families recover from the economic impacts of COVID-19, and ensuring that our children can get a good quality public school education. Juntos, we can make our voices heard and create the change we want to see in America. Gracias. I hope you have a great gala, and que Dios bendiga.
I want to thank our dear friend, Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, who is in District 29 out of Houston, Texas. She has been a champion also fighting for a number of issues for us. And so we're very glad that she was able to join us to make remarks today. But I want to talk about precisely the importance of the Latina vote. We know that the Latina vote is the most critical vote because what do we know about our mothers and our grandmothers and our sisters? They're the ones that help us bring together the family and to make sure that every single one of us votes. In fact, in every election cycle, and I don't see it different this cycle, Latinas vote at 2 percentage points higher than their counterparts. And there is no gender gap. They believe that the issues that matter to our communities are very important. The revolution, as we've been calling this event, can only happen if Latinas tell their families and work with their families to make sure that they turn them out to vote. We have a saying, cuando vota una Latina, vota una familia. So we're asking every comadre, madre, abuelita, hermana, to get ready, to make a plan. Southwest Voter has a website where you can register to vote. We will be able to, if you use our website, not only register online, there's 39 states that can do that, but you will also be able to allow us to call you, to talk to you, to make sure that you remember to vote with this election. And we will be calling the women to make sure that they remember that cuando ellas votan, vota una familia. With that, we're moving to our next step.
Bienvenidos y buenas noches. My name is Camila Lopez, and I am the Executive Director of Equal Means Equal, and so proud to be here tonight to support the extremely important work of the Southwest Voter Registration and Education Project. Exactly 100 years ago, after long and painful struggle, American women achieved suffrage, the right to vote, which was enshrined in our Constitution as the 19th Amendment on August 26th of 1920. Until then, women were considered chattel, property of their fathers until they married, and then they became property of their husbands. The achievement of the vote was just supposed to be the first step towards including women into American laws and society. The Equal Rights Amendment, which was the necessary next step, was written in 1923 by Alice Paul and her colleagues, and it stated simply this: equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. That's all it said, simple, ordinary equality. And yet, equality for women under our Constitution was not achieved until this year, when Virginia became the 38th and final state needed to ratify the amendment. And today, although millions of women have delivered what the Constitution requires under Article 5, the politics of the moment are such that if we do not use the one constitutional right we do have, we may lose the hard-fought right we have just won, and that would be a devastating injustice. A few months ago, this administration has stepped in to block the certification and adoption of the Equal Rights Amendment, and we cannot permit that to happen. You know, when I started working on ratifying the ERA in 2009, I was so dismayed to find out that Latinas are the lowest wage earning group of any group in the entire country. At the time, they were making 55 cents on the white male dollar for equal work or work of equal value. Well, I'm so sad to tell you that this year in Los Angeles County, Latinas are now making 44 cents. That is truly an unlivable wage. The certification and adoption of the Equal Rights Amendment will guarantee equal pay for equal work, regardless of sex. And also, it will require equal pay for work of equal value, which is a very important distinction. It will also begin to address the pandemic of violence that affects American women. At the time I started, 3.5 American women died every single day at the hands of an intimate partner or spouse. Well, guess what? It's now 4.2 women. The ERA does so many positive things for American families. I can't even tell you all of them right now. I urge you to watch my movie, Equal Means Equal, Igual es Igual, to understand truly how the ERA is an umbrella protection for many of the discriminations that we suffer as women, as a class. Voting is a sacred right, and those who came before us paid dearly for it, some of them with their lives. This year, which is a year unlike any other, the fate of women and girls' equality hang in the balance of this election. We must use this one tool that we have to push for a more perfect union, for justice for all of us. Su voto es su voz. Tienen que apoyar a los que apoyan a nosotros, no apoyar a la gente que nos trae la destrucción. Tenemos que pelear para las mujeres de este país y los niños. American women and children deserve to take their rightful place as equal citizens under our laws. This election, I ask you to vote for your interests, vote for your family, vote for your communities. La comunidad latina no puede dejar que la intimidación, la discriminación, el miedo, la flojera o la ignorancia nos quiten derecho de participar en esta gran democracia. ¿Ah? We need every single Latino and Latina to register to vote. You need to understand that those dates for registering are different in every state. Some of them end on October 4th. A lot of them, like Texas, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, and Ohio, end October 5th. So please, edúcate, investiga y vota. Por favor, vota. And now I'm going to introduce Marisol Treviño, a Southwest voter volunteer who's turning 18 this year and voting for the first time. Brava, Marisol. Thank you and gracias.
Okay, thank you so much. Me llamo Marisol Treviño. We are phone banking for Southwest Voter Registration Education Project to turn out Latino voters this election. I am excited to share that we are all voters. Every year, 800,000 Latinos turn 18, and we need to register them to vote. I just turned 18 and I am registered. This November, I am voting for the first time, and I will be voting for my family, our future, and I urge you to vote this November. Su voto es su voz.
Hi, I'm Candice Valenzuela, and I'm running for Congress in Texas's 24th District. I'm sorry I couldn't join y'all this evening, but I just want to say that the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project is on the front lines, doing some of the important work in our country right now. When we mobilize and engage the Latino community, we see representation that respects the power of the Latino vote and works to raise wages and address the income and health disparities that affect the Latino community. This year, we have the opportunity to demand better representation and make government work for us, not just for a few years, but for a generation. To make that a reality, we have to be counted. And one way to do that is to get out the vote, whether by mail or in person. It is vital that we make our voices heard at the ballot box. But there's an equally important democratic responsibility we all need to take up this year, and that's filling out the census. We can only make change in our communities if we make our voices heard, and the election and the census are two incredible opportunities to make Latino voices heard, loud and clear. SVREP understands the importance of this work. Y'all have been fighting to increase Latinos' political power for generations, not just by registering new voters, but by encouraging Latino leaders to step up and run for office. I had a wonderful time speaking with some of the Latina leaders of tomorrow at an SVREP candidate training last month. We're in dark times, but I'm full of hope about the future because of the outstanding work of the folks at SVREP. Thank you for everything you do, and enjoy this evening of celebration. Please stay safe. Take care.
To all those strong Latinas encouraging us to go out there and vote and have our voices heard, please listen to them. Look, if you were raised by a strong Latina, you know they are terrifying. You do not want these women to come to us. Listen, all I do is give me that look. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you were doing something you weren't supposed to do, and she just, you don't want that look from these women because they will find you. All right, so please get out there and vote. All right. Also, before I forget, reminder: don't forget. At the end, we're going to do a nice tequila shot to commemorate the evening. We'll have that ready. And before we even get to the end, we got an amazing video coming up right now. For the future of Latina voters, there's a short. This revolution is for the future.
My name is Jessica, and this is my daughter, Amelia. Can you say hi? Hi. I am Salvadorian American, and her dad and my husband is Filipino American. So when I think about how I feel about being an American, I really appreciate that we have the diverse nature that we do. My mother is the strongest woman I have ever met. She is a strong Latina, very determined, very loving. My mother always told my brothers and I to take advantage of the opportunities that were afforded to us that she unfortunately did not have. So we all went to college, and I have a double major in political science and English, and now I am a senior project manager at an environmental consulting firm. My hopes for my daughter is that she goes to college because my mom always instilled that in me. And I have always told Amelia that she can be whatever she wants to be. And I think that she has that mindset where anything is possible. I have always held a high view of Latinas. We are strong, and we get that from our mothers. So when it comes to voting or influencing change, I think we have a huge voice. Voting is the pathway by which anything really is accomplished. So legislation needs to be passed so that my daughter will have equal rights, equal opportunities that are afforded anyone else. I am Jessica, and I am proud to be an American.
Hi guys, this is Nancy Sanchez, and I'm going to sing a new song I wrote called The Kids Are Still in Cages. This song is meant to shine light on the zero tolerance policy that was implemented in 2018. That policy affected many immigrant families. It separated families, it separated children, it placed children in cages. Now, although they might not be physically in cages, they are being deported without due process. This really means a lot to me because I myself am an immigrant. I was brought to this country when I was only 3.5 years old, and I am an American, and I love my culture, and I love this country, and I believe that everybody deserves a chance to have a better life. So please, register to vote. Vote on November 3rd. Vote for policies that are going to better our lives. Vote for people in power that really care about you and me, who have compassion, and who are going to implement policies that are going to be good and enrich our country again. I was told to go back where I came from, back where I belong, but I don't know where I belong. I was brought here in my mother's arms, just a little girl, searching for the stars. But circumstances forced my parents to leave. We crossed the line in 1989. It's never easy to leave your life behind.
What an amazing line of powerful women. I have to say that Kamala Lopez not only is an actress, she's an acclaimed actress and has won many awards, particularly for her documentary on the Equal Means Equal, and she's also the executive director. So that's very, very exciting. And my God, Nancy Sanchez, that song, she wrote it for us. She wrote it so that we remind ourselves and we remember that there are still children in cages. The children that she's speaking about are the children that we have seen throughout the news. And because of the pandemic and other issues, we don't see them as often, but they are still in cages. There is one incident of one young man who was picked up on his way to go to college, check it out, see what was going on. He was picked up, him and his brother. His brother was undocumented, and he was a citizen. He had his documentation. He was picked up, and he was still put in one of those cages. However, he was 19 years old. He was in cages for 27 days and lost 23 pounds, which means that these children are not being treated well. They're traumatized and they're at risk of being killed. So we have to be profoundly committed to saving the children, and your vote will do that. Thank you, Nancy Sanchez. With that, we have our colleagues here. Gil, council member, secretary.
Call me Gil. Lita, first let me thank you, and then let me thank Henry, because Henry has been a great mentor and inspiration. And I recall when I got to sit next to Henry, and Antonio would do this for me a lot. This very dear thing that Antonio would do is once a year, after giving me a lot of grief for the whole year, he would sit me with some great personality, a prominent person in the country, somebody very significant. And I was a young union leader at the time, early 90s, maybe 92. And so I was really just beginning to grow in my leadership. I had just taken over SCIU Local 660. We had that big, wonderful strike of nurses and office workers, mostly women. And he sat me next to Henry. And I thought, wow, okay, well, this is going to be pretty great. This is in the Clinton administration. And Henry was as gracious as he always is and kind, etc. But then he went up and spoke, and I was like, just in awe and inspired. Later on, our mutual friend, Dennis Rivera, invited me to join Henry on the Hispanic PAC board, and I would be able to see him a little more frequent. And then I remember the first time I ran into Henry after I left the union and I was running for office. And I ran into Henry on 6th Street in downtown Los Angeles. There was a professional meeting that was taking place, and he was walking out of there. And I grabbed him. I said, Henry, I'm going to run for office. And he was very encouraging, of course, as always. And I said, you know what? I think I can win. And I just want to thank you, because you've been very generous with your time and very helpful in my personal growth. And so I just appreciate you so much. You have been our statesman, as Leah said, and also I've always considered you as our national leader and spokesperson for our community. So thank you. Lydia, obviously, the role of women is so critical. Eric's talking about it in our households, how significant, how important women are. The pay inequity that exists, it hurts our families so much. And it's something that we struggle with in Los Angeles, in large part because of legal status, in large part because the sectors of the economy where our community works, the service sector, the garment industry, hotel, restaurant, street vendors, people out, day laborers, those sectors of the economy, people are under-resourced, underpaid, their rights are limited. that impacts the development of our families and the generations that follow. And so, obviously, the Latina vote is critical in changing that and making the changes that are necessary to make sure that these inequities that Kamala pointed out and has committed herself to addressing are addressed through the Latina vote. And so, I want to obviously thank you for that.
Mr. Secretary?
We have a pause. I can always talk about the most infuriating thing in my life today.
Gil, thank you
And
for
that is the question
your
of our
work.
children in
I get what I
cages.
said
Nothing
earlier.
is more
I learned a long time
humanity
ago.
than
I learned a long time ago that there are public officials who basically are in it to climb the ladder of glamour and notoriety and glory, and there are those who are moved by service to the people. And you've always been one of those. And it's amazing to me after all this time, so many different positions, you're still the go-to man on things that relate to our community. So thank you for that. There's no question but that this is a extraordinarily important time. Um, just the last few years, we have seen this assault on Latinos in many, many forms. The economy, the administration, uh, as Lydia was describing earlier, the issues at the border, uh, so many instances where our community has been disrespected. I mean, if there ever was a moment when in the American story, where the highest officers of the land have actually targeted a group, it has been the Latino community in recent years. And then this pandemic, which was very unfair in its impact. It attacked people who had to work. I mean, think of this. We call them essential workers, but what essential really meant was you have to expose yourself to the virus because the jobs you do are jobs that require that you be in contact with people, that you continue to work, that you be in vulnerable environments, and you cannot do them from home. You cannot do food production from home. You cannot do transportation from home. You cannot move cargo and goods from home. You can't be the bank teller in a bank and keep the financial system going from home. You can't do utility related and mechanical work from home. There's so many instances. You can't do healthcare work, whether you're a nurse, whether you're an orderly, whether you're handling the essential functions related to disinfecting and toxic materials in hospitals. You can't do that work from home. You have to be there and you're exposed. That's what our people have done. And it's just a tragedy that people have suffered. There are many cities in America where the number one mortality rate, the group that died more than any other group, were Latinos. None of this is going to change until we change public policies. Gil, you know that well. None of this is going to change until we have voices in the assemblies, in the city councils, in the county commissions or city or county governing bodies. None of this is going to change till we have majorities in legislatures. Um, so much of this revolves around public powers, and the only entry port to public powers is the vote. People either pay attention to who's voting, they feel moved by the vote, or we elect representatives ourselves and send those people, as we have Gil Cedillo, to these various positions over the years. So sometimes it's hard to make the case that your vote is actually something very personally powerful. Voting on things that are personally important. When children are kept in cages, as Lydia said, to me, that's personal. That's an attack on our community. Anybody who knows Latinos knows there's no community with stronger values about their families than Latinos. And then you separate families at the border, mothers from children. We had a government that was losing children in the separation. Children were sent in one direction And they didn't keep records. They didn't know where the children had gone for days, for weeks, for months. When people have disproportionate impact on their health, that's very, very personal. When children are in schools that don't have access to online education, so they're essentially locked out of the educational system for months, that's personal. So the only thing I can say is you have to understand that the only personal weapon you have to fight back with, the most effective personal weapon, is your vote. So I hope we all listen to Southwest Voter, participate in its efforts, volunteer, send money, but su voto really is your voice.
So thank you, Henry, and I'm sorry, Secretary
No, Henry,
Cisneros.
por favor. I
Henry,
haven't been
Henry.
secretary for a long time.
But I want to at this moment bring someone who has dedicated his life to voting, to registering voters, turning out voters, modeled after Southwest Voter, the Midwest Voter, and then the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute. Southwest Voter rarely gives awards. And we have given, I'd say now, since our 45 years, 5 awards. In that time, we have given the Lifetime Achievement Award to 3 people: Willie Velasquez, Andrew Hernandez, Antonio Gonzalez, and now we're giving it to Dr. Juan Andrade. And with that, let me introduce to you our Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, who deserves this award because he has dedicated his life to empowering Latinos, mobilizing Latinos, and making sure that every Latino has a voice.
Hello, I'm Juan Andrade, and it's a pleasure to be with y'all today to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award from Southwest Voter Registration Education Project. It's especially humbling to me to follow in the footsteps of Willie Velasquez and Andy Hernandez and Antonio Gonzalez, 3 of the real legends and heroes in the history of Latino empowerment. And were it not for Southwest Voter Registration Education Project and Willie Velasquez, it's quite possible that there would not even be a USHLI today. Willie was a co-founder of this organization, sharing with us the experience that he was having as executive director of Southwest Voter Registration Education Project. And it's an honor to be recognized in that group. Humbling for sure. And it reminds me of what we set out to do 40, 50 years ago. I myself am celebrating 50 years now of being in the struggle to empower our community. And we did it throughout this country. And Willie charted that course of Latino empowerment, preaching that gospel of organizing and registering to vote and getting out to vote and blazing a trail in redistricting. All of that served to empower our community. And USHLI was started out as Midwest Voter Registration Education Project, patterned after Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, because that was the model for us, patterned after what African Americans had done throughout the South through the Voter Education Project, co-founded by the late Congressman John Lewis. Both Southwest Voter and USHLI learned from the Voter Education Project and the late Congressman John Lewis, and we're grateful for that. My own experience took me to other countries, being called by the State Department to go and help organize and empower other people in Mexico and Nicaragua and Panama and Colombia, Uruguay, Bolivia, Guyana, Haiti, Suriname, all these countries that needed to plant democratic roots so democracy could grow and flourish in those countries as it had in the United States. But all that experience served to bring me to refocus back on the need to restore democracy in our own country. Our democracy has survived wars, never been threatened quite like it is today. And for all of our collective experience, we need to commit that to the empowerment of our community and the preservation of democracy in the United States. It's being threatened today, and we cannot stand idly by, not when it is our time. This is our time to rise, our time to shine, our time to flex our political muscle and make a difference in elections across this country like never before. That back in the day when we could swing states, maybe we tried to do so in Texas or in California. Today it's from coast to coast. Latino vote can influence the outcome of elections from Florida all the way to California, all the way across the board. That is who we are today, and we're stronger than ever. We have the potential to really help restore democracy in this country, to bring it back, and this country will look to see who did it, who got the job done. And it's not just we ourselves, but collectively carrying our share of the load, that we can turn out to vote in this election like never before. And I just want to say thank you to Southwest Voter for getting us started and for partnering with us again today, giving us a chance to work side by side with Southwest Voter Registration Education Project to where we can bring democracy back to this country. That will be the legacy of our organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Juan Andrade. And I also want to note that USHLI, which is Juan Andrade, he's the president, and LULAC have an extraordinary partnership to mobilize the Latino vote this cycle, as well as a partnership with MALDEF to protect the vote. With that, let me introduce now our next speaker. Denny Trejo is someone you know well. He's an actor, an artist, someone who is dedicated. He has worked very tirelessly to promote the empowerment of Latinos and to make sure that disenfranchised voters could vote as well as take part in America's democracy in other ways. With that, let me bring you Danny Trejo.
Familia, Danny Trejo here, reminding you to get out and vote, because in this election, there is so much at stake. We can't afford to sit this one out, because we need leadership that is going to take care of our raza. We've got an out-of-control health crisis, a criminal justice system that is all out of whack, and an economy that is tanking grande. We've got to stop the bleeding, and the only way we can do that is to let our voices be heard and vote. Your vote matters, so remember to register to vote. Then be sure and catch your ballot. Mail in or go in and get your I voted sticker. Tell your familia and friends they gotta vote too. Every single vote counts. Machete says, su voto es muy importante. So vote. Your vote is your voice. Now use it. Take it from me. Vote. Your future depends on it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mayor Eric Garcetti, and it's an honor to join you to celebrate the achievements of the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project and to prepare for the work ahead in this crucial year. I know how difficult this moment has been for every community, but for Latinos in our city and across the country, this year has been especially painful for us. A virus has struck everyone, but our families and people of color have been hit with particularly devastating force. And a recession has shaken every sector, but delivered a knockout punch to too many workers struggling to pay the rent. And a census count has been politically compromised for all Americans, while it leaves so much hanging in the balance for Latino populations. Well, here in Los Angeles, we saw these challenges early on, and we are rising to meet them, bringing testing to all residents regardless of immigration status. By delivering additional aid to our hardest hit families, including Angelinos cut off from federal support because of their immigration status. We deployed unprecedented census resources to reach those hard-to-count neighborhoods, and we did all of this work because it was right, it was smart, and it was just. But let's not mince words. There are clear reasons why Latinos have fewer resources to weather this storm, why we're dying more, and why we're losing our jobs more than any other group. This is what happens when an administration rolls back worker protections, launches a full-scale assault on immigrant households, and creates a climate of fear. There can be no doubt that our community faces tough obstacles right now, but we have an advantage. We've been here before. We know how to move forward even in the toughest times. Ours is a heritage of ordinary people who built coalitions stronger than any unjust policy and made changes that endured long after the abuses faded away. And in this difficult hour, we must summon that passion and that perseverance once again. This year, that means every single eligible voter must register and cast a ballot. It means we must leverage our ability to vote safely and securely by mail. And it means we must participate in the census to ensure our community gets the resources we need and the representation that we deserve. It means we have to organize and fight and leave no stone unturned so that when we look back on 2020, we can say that this was the year our communities took the polls in record numbers. This was the year our voices carried the streets of our city to the chambers of Congress and the corridors of the White House. The year we didn't just respond to an unprecedented crisis, but we reaffirmed our promise of justice, of possibility, opportunity, and belonging to all of our people. My friends, hay que tomar acción ahora. Organize, mobilize, and vote. Do it for the memory of Antonio. Do it for yourselves and your family. And do it for our country and our future. Let's get to work. Adelante.
Thank you, Mayor Garcetti, and shout out to LA. Can I say something? I love that he threw in the Spanish, but he kept calling it Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Latinos, come on, we have to come out and vote in record numbers. And without further ado, let's get this party going. Señoras y señores, Ozomatli.
Yeah. Ha. It's you they card, it's you they charge, it's you they complain about strolling the boulevard. You the one claiming and screaming you're all hard. Are you in control or is it just a facade? If Uncle Sam wants you, it's you that he'll need. It's you that'll sacrifice and it's you that'll bleed. I think you need to reflect on some old Sam's need and recognize in life there's only two guarantees. Some proceed to believe in us. We gotta discuss, have we all lost trust in us? Cause you and I, we, us, together we must live, change and die. Everybody's included, it's up to you to decide.
Son la muerte y el cambio. En la vida dos cosas ciertas son la muerte y el cambio.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you, it's Madly, for giving us the most extraordinary music and gift that you can give us. We also want to thank our mayor, Eric Garcetti. Remember, I said I'm both from Los Angeles and San Antonio. But now I'd like to move on to introduce someone who's helped us make an extraordinary difference in California. Some time ago, before Antonio's passing, Antonio Gonzalez, the former president of Southwest Voter, gave me a call and says to me, you know, we've got a California Voting Rights Act. We have to make sure we make some changes. And my response was, living in Texas, California is a progressive state. We still have to make some changes. And his response was, Antonio's response was, absolutely. After doing some homework, we discovered there were hundreds and hundreds of jurisdictions, municipalities, school districts, water boards, where, in fact, the majority of the community that lived there, whether it was a city, whether it was a school board, or whether it was water boards, were not governed in any way, shape, or form and represented by Latinos. And so using the California Voting Rights Act, lawyer Kevin Checkman and our Latino Vote chair and friend decided to take it on and be our lawyers. So take it on, Kevin.
Hello, my name is Kevin Shankman, and I'm an attorney proudly representing Southwest Voter over the past 5 years in several actions to protect the voting rights of Latinos and other minorities throughout California. It strikes me in recording this video why we need to record videos for this virtual dinner rather than gathering at the Los Angeles River Center as we've done for many years. At the risk of being too political at an event for a nonpartisan nonprofit organization, the reason is the sheer incompetence and dishonesty of the current occupant of the White House, who is more interested in tearing families and this country apart for his own political gain than saving lives. It's baffling that anyone would vote for his re-election. So how do you win an election when you only have the support of about 40% of the electorate? You make it so that some of the other 60% can't or won't vote. In Florida, citizens with felony convictions were granted the right to vote by a ballot initiative in 2018. Yet Florida Republicans effectively took it away again by implementing a poll tax for those former felons, and the U.S. Supreme Court just a few weeks ago allowed that poll tax to remain in place for this upcoming election. In Texas, the courts have refused to allow people to vote by mail when they reasonably fear that voting in person will be dangerous to their health. And in California, 2 months ago, 3 old white judges, blind to their own privilege, issued a decision that effectively all but kills the California Voting Rights Act, a law largely responsible for nearly doubling the number of local Latino elected officials in California since its enactment in 2002. We are now fighting to reverse that decision in the California Supreme Court. Supportive letters have been submitted to the court by Secretary of State Alex Padilla, 18 former legislators led by Senator Richard Polanco, including Congress members Lou Correa, Judy Chu, and Tony Cardenas. the Latino Legislative Caucus, the African American Legislative Caucus, the Asian Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus, and civil rights organizations like Southwest Voter, LULAC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the California Latino School Board Association, the California Association of Black School Educators, and I understand very soon MALDEF as well. Sometimes the attacks on voting rights can be disheartening. But with you and the support of all those officials and organizations who have come out to protect the California Voting Rights Act, we're going to keep up the fight, and we know that you will as well. Thank you.
Three appellate judges blocked it.
Wow. What do you think, gentlemen?
Well,
I had a good time. I don't know about you guys. I've been having a tequila. I've been excited. I'm yelling at everybody walking by to go out and register to vote.
You've done a great job, Lydia.
Thank you, sir. We're almost to an end, but I want to thank some amazing people that have made this together. I know that I'm going to miss someone because we had so many people helping us. So I want to start with Kamala Harris, Daniel Gonzalez, Mark Torres, Marianne Anaya, Jaime Davila, the wonderful Pam Tarr and her husband, John, and the staff, the amazing staff of Southwest Voter, the women that helped us with the social media, our tech team, and all of you, the donors, the participants, our board, and of course, Mr. Cedillo and Mr. Cisneros, and of course, our Eric Rivera, who made us laugh. We are in a different time. We're not meeting in person. Latinos, we're huggers. We would be hugging everybody right now. We're huggers, but thank you so very much. Eric.
All right. And don't forget some upcoming events. September 17th is Constitution Day. October 24th, National Congreso Day. And before, I know, Lydia, you thanked us, but we want to thank you for putting this event together and working so hard to get people out there to register and vote and to go out and vote. Thank you to everybody who joined us for this dinner. I know, again, with the pandemic, we made the best of it, and we did it, guys. We did it, and you did it all from the comfort of your own home. You're part of our family now, and we need all hands on deck to get every Latino to vote in the next 48 days. That's right, 48 days. So sign up for phone banking, filmmaking, social media. Start your first campaign. Pick something you're about, but get involved. And as we part, remember I said the toast. So hopefully you got your glasses full. This is to the new Dia de la Revolución, November 3rd. That's right, November 3rd. A la Revolución. All right. And to close it all out, let's give it up for the one and only Culture Clash.
What must we do in Culture Clash to convince you to exercise your sacred right to vote, amigos?
Do you not realize I have had diarrhea since Easter's?
Shall we pray to the heavens above? Shall we make goo-goo eyes like Maria Felix did in that movie? I am too sleepy to vote. Perhaps I will just stay home and watch reality TV.
Aha! Senor Slowpoke, you will be good with the chili peppers!
When you don't exercise your vote, others can take your voice and wear your sombrero at Cinco de Mayo.
You're out of order! She's out of order! The whole damn system is out of order!
In these uncertain times, avoid emotional triggers.
What the hell, man? What's happening?
It is what it is.
The more you know.
Thank you.
We must vote as if our lives depend on it, because they do. We must vote for all the generations of our families. If we throw this away, we lose all that they fought for. We lose all the sacrifices our elders ever made, and those costs were very real. We got these. After all, we are a smart people.
Did you know the Mayans invented the slinky?
We are superheroes.
The Mex-Men, mighty mutated Mexicans transformed by toxic waste dumped by American factories in this small Mexican village. Orange Man, with the power to sell oranges by the bushel on any freeway off-ramp. Bus Boy Man, with the amazing ability to balance a load of heavy restaurant dishes and live on lousy tips. And finally, Leaf Blower Man, whose left arm is a mighty wind machine.
And when you do go to the polls, wear a mask and don't spread your cochinadas around all over the place.
Oh my God!
Come on, guys. We can do it.
Hermanos, gente, raza, people, barrios, hoods, guanacos, ticos, vatos, cholos. You call us what you will. Raza, gente.
Women, Latinas, mothers, daughters.
Puertorriqueños, californianos, New Yorkers, tejanos.
Feos, bonitas, flacos, gorditas, altos.
Americanos.
Citizens.
Americans. Americans.
Únanse y voten.
We want to give a shout out to Southwest Voter Registration, Antonio, Willie, the entire crew, and just the urgency that we get out and we give our voice and place our vote is absolutely crucial.
Culture Clash says vote.
Culture Clash, November 3rd. Vote.